Welcome back. Oil prices this morning are trading around $66 a barrel. Let's take a look at where the price of oil is right here. Crude oil right now at $65.16. That is up a fraction this morning, but of course prices plunged in the middle of the Middle East volatility in the last 2 weeks, coming down from a high of $78 a barrel. That was the high for the year so far. The ceasefire brokered by President Trump holding this morning between Israel and Iran. Investors assessing whether the Middle East is losing its influence and market share in oil, with the U.S. ramping up. Joining me now is the Secretary of Energy, Christopher Wright. Secretary, it's good to have you this morning. Thanks so much for being here.
Good morning, Maria. Thanks for having me.
What do you think? I mean, I want to get your take on when we're going to see President Trump's energy portfolio, the agenda playing out in real time. I know you've been working on a lot of things, but the oil companies are still waiting on the executive orders on energy to be codified, like permitting, for example. So when do you expect, are we going to see in the second half of the year more sunlight on the president's energy agenda?
Absolutely. Oh, it'll unfold throughout this year. The first step is the one big, beautiful bill. There's a lot of key things for energy in there. It's some permitting reform. It's some mandated lease sales, things that we should be doing in law, but the Biden administration stopped. And heck, another huge thing I can't help but mention, about $1 trillion, more than $1 trillion of subsidies were slated under current law over the next decade, over $1 trillion. And what do we get in benefit? We get more expensive electricity and forced to buy an EV, and you can't choose the car of your choice. So the one big, beautiful bill is key in ending the EV mandate, getting rid of most over $500 billion of subsidies that are paid for by American taxpayers, while at the same time reducing upward prices on energy. We're also going to reform FERC and the Nuclear Regulatory Commission. So many things will be done to unleash American energy, keep prices down, and grow opportunities for Americans right here in this country.
Yeah, I mean, President Trump is urging the administration to boost domestic oil drilling. He wrote this on Truth Social: to the Department of Energy, drill, baby, drill, and I mean now. The president writes this: everyone keep oil prices down. I'm watching. You're playing right into the hands of the enemy. Don't do it. Mr. Secretary, what is he saying here in terms of pricing? I mean, you know, the expectation that more oil is coming onto the market as a result of the U.S.'s efforts, I think, is part of the reason that prices are where they are right now. But what do you think? I mean, did it surprise you that in the middle of this conflict between Iran and Israel, you have the price of oil plummeting?
This is why the president was elected, you know, to bring back common sense about energy. The oil prices, when they peaked in this crisis, were lower than they were in average during the 4 years of the Biden administration. Gasoline and diesel are both 10 or 15% cheaper today than they were a year ago, about 30% cheaper than they were 3 years ago. This is, when the president says, drill, I want you all to drill right now, that just sends the message to the world that America believes in energy. America is the biggest producer of energy and believes that more energy is better, that lower prices are better. He's replacing an administration that said, I promise I will end oil and gas. Biden did everything possible to make it harder to produce oil and gas. That didn't produce any new energy. It just made the existing energy sources more expensive. Now you have a president that gets it. He's smart. He's confident. He sends a message to the world America is going to remain an energy powerhouse. He embraces our allies that are also major producers of oil and gas. And in a common mission, we got to energize the world. Affordable, reliable energy is what makes the world economy run. And we've got to stop the nonsense that plagued us for 4 years. The Trump transformation is complete.
Yeah, I understand, but I'll tell you, I mean, I agree the way he's working with these energy companies, but I'm wondering if the oil companies are getting the message, because I feel like when oil prices go down, suddenly you don't have as much activity from the oil companies. I'm wondering if they're saying, wait a minute, we're getting less price for our products. Let's not ramp it up. And I asked Texas Congressman August Pfluger about this yesterday. Watch this. When oil gets down to levels like they are right now, 66, do the oil companies say, forget it, I'm not going to do any drilling. It's too cheap. I'm not making enough money on it?
Well,
It's not that they're not making enough money. It's the fact that it's not economical. We need it to be 65 to 85. That's really the range that the economy needs.
Economical for who?
It's to extract the oil,
companies.
the technology. It takes a certain price.
Yeah. Secretary, what do you say about that?
Congressman Pfluger makes a good point. There's a balance, supply and demand. That's the beauty of a market economy. When prices are too high, production grows. When prices are too low, production gets curtailed, but demand grows because consumers can afford to buy more. The cost to produce is that key balancing item. And under President Trump, the fact that you know you're going to get permits, you're going to be able to build infrastructure, you're not going to be demonized and threatened with giant tax increases all the time. President Trump is lowering the cost to produce oil and natural gas in the United States. And that means that balancing point around which prices will balance is lower than it was before. The fastest growing piece of our oil production is natural gas liquids. These are things that come along when you produce natural gas. And what did Trump do on day one? End the pause on natural gas export terminals. We've approved more increased capacity for export terminals in just these first 130 days than the amount of capacity of our second largest country, Qatar, and Australia as natural gas exporters. Trump is making it easier for American producers to get products to market. So what do you get? More production, lower prices, more opportunities.
Yeah, we heard that from Secretary Doug Burgum here yesterday about the 900 licenses that were approved. And I like the idea that you've got all hands on deck in terms of the ways to generate energy. A Department of Energy issued an emergency order this week as record heat sweeps the country, warning that electricity demands are peaking, stretching the power grid to the limit. Ms. Secretary, what about that? I mean, you say the administration is using every available tool to secure energy. What should we be expecting from electricity? And there are a lot of sort of impacts to that. We need more electricians. We need more electricity. We've got AI demand, data center demand. Assess the situation.
Yeah, look, during the Biden administration, for 4 years, we were on a course, almost no growth in electricity production, 25% price rises, which made Americans angry, helped elect President Trump. But we were on a course that was a train wreck. We would continue to see rapid rises in electricity in the next few years, and we would lose the AI race because you wouldn't be able to bring the extra juice you need to build all those data centers here in the country. Thank God President Trump was elected. So we're doing everything possible now to sweep out the nonsense, but a lot of nonsense was in there. For example, in my department, we've issued 4 emergency orders just in the last few weeks to stop the closure of reliable plants so we can keep the lights on and stop pushing up electricity prices. We had to issue an emergency order a few days ago just to let utilities in the Southeast run their plants at full capacity so they could keep the lights on. Under the Biden laws, that's illegal. Emissions rules would have prevented them from producing all the electricity they could, and they would have had rolling brownouts. That's just total nonsense. But you're right, Maria. We need to make changes rapidly. We need to see new capacity built, smarter regulation. We need to use our grid wiser. There's so many things we need to do to improve it. We can't do it all overnight. But I can assure you the team at Department of Energy and across this administration are 24/7, 7 days a week, working to get out the morass, the nonsense that got put in, free American capitalists, free American energy production, and bring jobs back here. We want a shortage of electricians and plumbers and all that. That pushes wages up, and that gives great job opportunities for all those hardworking Americans.
Absolutely. Secretary, great to catch up. Thanks so much.